So when I'm saying let's go into the depths of hell, let's go into the depths of this chaos and to begin to turn things around, I'm saying prescribe to your ideal of virtue whatever you may. To be that strong, courageous, assertive man that says, this is the truth. This is the way. This is the direction that we need to go in. What's going on, men? It is another great day to begin to construct something of value. This is the Better Man channel, where we recognize the valleys of chaos surrounding us, the pits of hell that society is currently in. Instead of running from that, we choose to go down into the depths of chaos and to begin to construct mountains of virtue, to begin to be the example that society needs, the example that we need. And I know you're cringing at the sound of virtue and to go down and do something and be that Mr. Nice Guy for what? For this deplorable society that doesn't care one iota about me? What the hell is this guy talking about? I think we have a misconception of what virtue means. We see it as this passive quality that some quiet librarian possesses. When the crowd gets a little unruly, she whispers, "Let's be virtuous." But that's not virtue at all. The very root word vir means manliness from that Greek nature. And virtue, it's neither moral or immoral. It's just an amoral quality. It's what you bring to the table. It's what you prescribe to virtue that takes on morality or immorality in the modern sense. The Greeks, with their virtue, described it as very manliness. It's not something that you possess. It's something that you are. You're possessed by this virtue. And you can think of Odysseus in Homer's Odyssey. This man was virtuous in the sense he was strong, ready to fight, ready to combat, willing to use cunningness. Cunningness? Is that a word? He was willing to be cunning when needed, even to deceive the enemy. That was part of being virtue in that Greek nature. To be virtuous was to be strong, to be combative, and when needed, to use that manipulative power that could rise or help you to defeat your enemies. Virtuous took on the qualities that they prescribed to it. And we get that mixed up with the modern term of virtue, which has its origins in Christianity, and it's kind of this meek, timid, turn the cheek virtue. And we see it almost as a weakness. So we don't want any part of virtue. But virtue, again, it's neither moral or immoral. It's amoral. What are you going to prescribe to that? So when I'm saying let's go into the depths of hell, let's go into the depths of this chaos and to begin to turn things around, I'm saying prescribe to your ideal of virtue whatever you may. To be that strong, courageous, assertive man that says, this is the truth. This is the way. This is the direction that we need to go in. This is the sacred tradition that needs to be upheld, where men are men, women are women. We take on these roles. We accept our polarities, and then we find that golden mean where we begin to construct a worthy living. That's the virtues I want us to begin to embody. To be strong, to be combative when needed, to be silent when needed, to be man every damn moment of our day, and to be that honorable example that society needs to see. Right? When people are walking down their streets or walking down the streets with their kids, and you're this strong, head held high, chest out, shoulders back man that is carrying himself in that honorable, virtuous, strong way, children take notice, parents take notice and say, that's a good man. That's something we should strive to be like. We need those men in society today. This age, this generation is trying to tear that down and deconstruct the very nature, the very virtue of what it means to be man. And we see that. And the men today are confused, and we're thinking virtue and be strong and be honorable is some weakness where we're just whispering for the crowd. Now, calm down, calm down. Instead, we need to raise our voice in that masculine virtue of I am man. I am assertive. I'm not going to be that welcome mat that society can brush its feet off no longer. I'm going to begin to construct these mountains of virtue, to construct these mountains of tradition that says this is the way that we must go in order to uphold and sustain the very life that we love. We see this chaotic nature of entitled, lost, unidentifiable people just aimlessly wandering around trying to tear down and deconstruct the statues that have built this country we live in. That is honor. That is courage. That is assertiveness. That is the very nature, the virtues that have built this great country that we live in. And if we tear those down but don't replace them with anything better, then what the hell are we doing? And I'm all for progress and adapting and being flexible enough to bend with the winds of change. But if we tear down the statutes that help build this very country and not replace them with anything better, then chaos is going to ensue because there's no structure, there's no order. And that's where men come along. We are men. I don't care what feminist or what social justice warrior wants to describe it. Men are strong, created to be that logical leader that says this is the direction we need to go. And thank God we live in a comfortable and safety, for the most part, safe culture. So we don't depend upon those men to say, hey, we have to go combat the physical enemy today. We have to do this. We have to go out and get food for us. We have to go out there and be strong, assertive, powerful men. We don't so much rely on that presently. So we've got comfortable, and we've forgotten the meaning of what it means to be man. But that doesn't mean that we can diminish the importance of masculinity and the virtue thereof. We still need that. We need men to be men, or we become susceptible to outside enemies, to outside influences that begin to tear down and erode the very nature of what's got us here to this present age, where we can be entitled and comfortable and soft and bitch about this and bitch about that without doing anything to replace it. We live in an emotional prison where we're envious and resentful and jealous of all those that are free. This emotional prison will always bring on that victim mindset. We've got to step outside of that. Men have to embody virtue, embody that power that says this is what it means to live life. We say yes, that life-affirming power that says, I am man, I'm going to construct mountains of value, mountains of virtue, mountains that help us trek this thing we call life, man. Going through life without some form of power, without some form of direction, without some form of assertiveness is always going to lead you down the path of a sheep, because someone is going to come and bully you into their corral. They're going to herd you in their direction if you're unable to stand up and to voice who you are and to combat that with some power, with some assertiveness, with the very virtue of masculinity and manhood. We need men to be strong, powerful, assertiveness. And when you start speaking that, people get in this tyrannical, oppressive mindset. No, we don't need men to be tyrants. We don't need men to oppress anyone. We need men to be men so that we can have an admirable direction with which to walk towards, without a target, without something to aim for. As we see in today's culture, this aimless people wandering around just combating that because it's the social thing to do, then going to that, and then running that direction, looking for something. And I'm sympathetic for them almost. They're lost, needing something to guide them. We as men, it's an honor, man, a privilege to say, hey, this is what I stand for. And you can come this way and be better or stay in your misery, right? The world's drowning, and men have the ability to grab it or get in the boat of virtue, of masculinity, and to begin paddling through this drowning world, singing that song of masculinity. Come this way, singing the song of virtue, jump in the boat and let's go. And by that, I'm not saying we have to be so sympathetic and empathetic that we lose the sight on where we're supposed to go, right? People are drowning. I reach out my hand and say, this is the way. If they don't accept it, I keep on paddling and singing that song of direction, singing that song of tradition, singing that song of virtue, of masculinity, of honor. If they refuse that, then let them drown in their own misery. We're men created to construct direction. It's an honorable duty. It's an honorable responsibility to accept. If they don't accept it, let them drown in their misery. I love you guys. You'll hear me next episode.